I suppose we'll talk about the hair. We'll talk about the hair. Hi, I'm Hannah. This is Sweet Fern Homestead, where we talk about sacred home, sacred roots, sacred rhythm, and today, sacred hair. All right, for the last year-ish, I have been growing out my hair. And the reason I've been growing out my hair is to be able to cut off all the parts that were colored. So pretty much it was just this front section here that was still blonde. Now, about a year-ish ago, I had Chloe give me a cut where she cut off the back and she just angled it so that it was very long in front. It was all one length here and then really short in the back because I couldn't handle it. I wanted to grow out my color. I didn't want an official cut yet. But it was like too much. I get these big rat's nests in the back. So we did that. I've been wearing hats pretty much every single day for the last, I don't know, this feels like longer than a year, but time is a little bit strange for me. But basically, it was time. It was time. I said to myself that I would do this for the new year, and I was able to get an appointment on Christmas Eve. I said, give me a shag. And so this is what we have. Still figuring it out. Like, it's fun. All my kind of curls and waves came back, so that's nice. It is dark. It is a much darker hair than I am used to. And not seeing the blonde and finding out that I have very little gray. You might be able to see a little bit of gray under there. But for the most part, I decided to just go with a shag and let it kind of grow out. I would like this part to be nice and long and then keep the top like really shaggy. So it's kind of like, you know, lion's mane kind of thing. Now, typically a lot of these shags you'll see will have more like this kind of bang, which I do like a lot, and I may end up getting like the shorter bang, but for now I just decided that I didn't really want to deal with that because I have these curls and I have this colic here, so it's just kind of easier to, I'll show you how easy this hair is. I mean, it's just easy right now. This is just air dried. I just scrunch it. This is my natural texture. So that's the hair. I have spent the last few days without wearing a hat. It is very freeing and really nice. It's an adjustment to see this color because I have added blonde highlights since I was 21 and I am 48. So that is a long time without seeing your natural color. And I wanted to. I may add a few blonde highlights just in the front for a little bit of texture. But I'm not going to do that until April. So I am going to go through the winter and just see what I have, see if I can get used to this. The point being, I didn't want to fussy. I want to be able to cut my hair once a year. I didn't want to have to make color appointments. I didn't want to pay for it, and I didn't want the chemicals. And I just wanted to start to have a more natural. So that was the main thing. The next thing, there were a couple of more things that I wanted to accomplish before Christmas, and one was to clean out my refrigerator. And I know that sounds so silly, but because we have so many ferments in there, being able to have a nice flow for the rest of the area where the ferments aren't is really important, and it just gets really clogged up. So I wanted to get through there and go through all my root veggies. So I took the root veggies out and I made the most delicious root veggie chicken pot pie. It was absolutely delicious. It was just scrumptious. It was so good, and there was just this delicious like gravy with chicken stock. I think I used a leftover chicken soup actually and put it in there, and it was divine. So cleaning out the fridge today was very successful. One of the things I've been trying to do, as I talked about before, is use the food that we've put up. Use the food. And it's getting easier actually. The more I use it, the more comfortable I am using it. So that has been a real treat for me in finding the joy of using it so that I'm not like in that scarcity mindset. So that was really fun. Often in the morning, I wake up with a goal, like Today was to clean the fridge out while I was having morning coffee and get the root veggies chopped up and cooked up. So I'm about to roast some carrots, some chaga beets, and some golden beets. The golden beets were from the farmer's market. The carrots and chaga beets I grew. And then I was getting really worried about the turnips and the celeriac. So the celeriac I had just put in a big plastic baggie and I hadn't put a paper towel in there, and the moisture was starting to mold the outside. So I went ahead and cut all those up, peeled them, and then just went ahead and did the turnips too because I figured those were close behind. So this is the celeriac and the turnips that I grew this year. This is like a double size cast iron pan. We've eaten some, but mostly, I'd say this is my yield. A few of them did go bad. The smaller celeriac did go bad. I just couldn't save enough of it to make it worth it. It was like one bite, and I just sort of threw it in there for the chicken to munch on in the chicken bowl. So this is going to get just lightly sauteed, and then I will put this into the freezer. And I'll take a little bit out. I'm going to do like a root veggie chicken pot pie or something like that today, and make use of this chicken soup that's left over. This is just chicken broth and chicken because my kids are food sensitive, so I don't put any veggies in here directly. There's a ton of veggie in the broth, and then I add veggies to my own. So this isn't a fully clean fridge, but mostly our fridge never looks quite like this. All my ferments are up top. I've got my jars. Whenever we open a jar, I need to label it because I often put a reusable lid on instead of the lid that it was canned in. And people don't know what anything is, especially Dave. So this way he'll know, like he can come in and see there's onion jam, there's pickled cabbage, there's hot chili sauce, there's pickles. And then this entire drawer was filled with all those root veggies. So that's cleaned out and empty. And then this one has my daikon radish, 2 bags of those, beets from the farmer's market, and parsley from the garden. I think the daikon radish can hold on. I don't know. I might ferment it, just get it, shred it and ferment it. I just have so many ferments. This is about half my ferments, and the other half are downstairs in the fridge, which I need to clean out. And so I'm going to have to figure out a system to have, like right now I have like all the dairy stuff here. And I'm thinking I might be able to move some of it down here. I don't know. But that's definitely a step in the right direction. And then, in the sink, there were just like little bits of things. There were some things that had gone moldy. I combined a couple of the ferments into one thing. And, there were like little bits of jam, little bits of this and that. And I actually just threw them into the bowl for the chicken. Cutting up these carrots. These carrots all had something wrong with them, so I couldn't put them into a storage baggie and give myself a little time. These were ones that had to be used like right away. They had like cracks or whatever, so they're all peeled, and I'm just going to cut these into sticks and put them in a plastic baggie in the fridge, and the kids will be able to take a handful of those out. They can dip in ranch dressing or whatever they want, but I know if they have to peel and cut a carrot, they're probably not going to do it. So I'm going to take that step out of it, and I do believe once I do this that the carrots will get eaten. I usually put a paper towel in with any veggie that's going in a plastic bag just to soak up some of the extra moisture so it won't mold. All right, so we've got the veggies about to go into the oven. We've got the celeriac and the turnip doing so well on the stove. And then the first thing that's going to go in this side is the cut up carrots. And I think I'm going to actually label this side for the kids, like kid snacks. And then when they request celery and cucumber during the winter. So I will be able to do the same thing with celery and cucumber, get another couple bags in there. And then we've got ranch dressing over here ready to go, so they can just help themselves to all that. And then I think the other one that, we're all kind of trying to do around this time of year is clear clutter, clear space, make room for the new, use what we have. You find that thrifting is really good around the new year because people are going out and they're donating, and you can find a lot of really good stuff. so we all kind of share that need to like purge. And I am certainly not a minimalist, but I am really obsessed with this idea of minimalism inside of maximalism. And so I think what that translates to is more like clutter-free maximalism, because I don't like the minimalist, the look of it. Like I'm not crazy about like just a house that's decorated minimalistically. I like stuff. I like to see stuff. I like lots of things. I like abundance. I like jars filled with herbs and spices and plants and lights, and I am a big fan of stuff. But I want everything to have a purpose and be useful. And I've just started to notice like there's just so much extra plants, so many plants, and I can't take care of all these plants. Like, it has just become more than I am willing to invest my time in. So it's like, stop propagating baby plants. Like, stop propagating them. Just enjoy the plant that you have. So that's kind of what I'm starting to think about, is like, what plants are super special. So this, what is this? Is this rhododendron? It's not a rhododendron. What is it? What is it? What is it? I'm not gonna remember. I can like, okay, can't think of it. But that plant, super special. I ordered it from Etsy. I absolutely love that plant. I may be putting it in a bigger container soon, but then that's kind of what I'm like, treating that plant super special. It's the only plant in my studio right now. I want to just love up that plant rather than feeling like I have to fill my space with tons of plants, which is a different mindset for me, because before I was always like, the more plants the better, and now I'm kind of feeling like, well, if I'm neglecting them, is more plants the better? Probably not. So a little less, so I can really take care of them and nurture them, just because life is a lot. And there are seasons of my life where I can really care for all these plants, and there are seasons in my life where I really can't. And I'm kind of in one where I really can't, where I'm trying to cut down the steps I take in caring for my home so that it has this really simple, easy feeling for me. So we're just unwinding up to the holidays, trying to get the house back in order, adjusting to new hair, which it sounds so silly, but it's such a big deal. A lot of grief letting go of what I used to look like. And I think this is so much better, but there's still grief in it. It's a very bizarre thing. Like, I can just like do this and I have fun hair and I don't have to put a hat on, and like, it's just such an easy thing to have now. But there was a lot of grief in letting go of what was. So this time of year, we are up against grief. We are up against loss, expectations, all these things kind of can tuck in our way. And I find the best thing is just to like grab it and say, hi, hello, I see you, there you are. And let's be with this for a minute. Let's just be here and be with this, rather than trying to explain it, or come up with these reasons for this, or justify and or resist and push away. And I just would rather just say, hey, hello, feeling, there you are, what have we got, and let's talk about it, let's be together. So we got down to about 9 degrees, I think. And then in New Hampshire, where we have our Airbnb, we had people renting it for Christmas Eve and Christmas, and it was so cold it got down to 2 degrees that the pipes froze, and they ended up with no water on Christmas Eve. And we were like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And they were trying to fix it on their own. And finally, Dave just left right after dinner, and he drove to New Hampshire, and he was able to get them water so they could finish their celebration. So that was a little bit crazy, but that's what happens here. I mean, it gets cold, and this is a summer house. This isn't really a house that anybody has ever lived in the winter. So we typically winterize the house, and we had undone that so that these people could rent the house for Christmas. So It was a little bit of a crazy Christmas Eve sending Dave off to New Hampshire, but being able to restore the water for them for their holidays meant everything. And of course, that's what we were going to do. All right, well, I'm gonna keep playing with my hair. I think Chloe and I might go thrifting today, so I'll see if I can get a little video from that. And the next food kitchen project is using the leftover brisket that we had on Christmas Eve to make a like French onion, beef, some sort of yummy soup. And hopefully I can capture that for you too. But if that inspires you and you have a bunch of onions that might be starting to sprout, yum. Beef stock. I'm just gonna kind of make it up. I'm not gonna follow a recipe, just caramelize the onions, get a nice beef stock in there, a little umami flavor, maybe some mushroom or something like that, because we don't use wine. And just that nice shredded brisket in there, maybe some gluten-free bread, dairy-free cheese for Chloe and I, and then regular bread and cheese, and maybe just like toast it on top with some cheese. I don't know. I just had this like French onion soup vibe, and we have this brisket sitting there, so I was thinking that might be a nice combo. So it's happening in the kitchen, and I just wanted to check in. Didn't have a ton to say, but I didn't want to miss the time to say hello, to check in with you, to ask you how you're doing over the holidays. How are things feeling for you? How is your body? How is your heart? How is your mind? How is your spirit? Let me know down below. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.